I've had a weird couple of days, okay? Um, the news of what happened yesterday, where Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Yes, it happened in America. No, it's not New Zealand. It's not New Zealand news. But I think, and obviously the boys covered it yesterday, but the news has continued. There's lots of things happening. They're still trying to find the person who shot and killed him. They have still no motive of the person. They still don't know why they did it. They don't know where they sit in the political spectrum. As we saw from the Trump assassination attempts, they were registered Republicans, so there is no this whole idea of pointing it on the left because their person was very firmly on the right is just crazy
Typical,
bullshit.
though. Typical.
The hypocrisy of the administration's reaction, it's exactly what we all thought would happen. It's just like it's just gonna like double the vitriol towards the opposite side of the political spectrum. And it's going to continue this tit for tat, right? Bullshit. Which is really, really sad, very annoying. But yeah, no, it really rocked me yesterday because I don't know if you felt the same, but I felt really conflicted in my emotions because obviously couldn't give a shit about the dude. like the things that he did and he said led to a lot of the things that we are seeing in terms of hatreds towards the people who are the lowest in society is not what I mean, but the people who are in the minorities, you know, people who get looked down upon all the time, you know, political violence happens towards them. You know, we're talking about someone who was a very privileged white man who was able to say these things. He drummed up a lot of support from young people and got them quite conservative. You know, conservative is quite a spectrum. You know, there's conservative in some regards, and then there's like extreme conservatism, which kind of goes beyond conservatism. There were a lot of people who cherry picked what they liked about what he was saying. There were a lot of people who were educated enough to see the dog whistles in what he was saying. So like I can see why he became a big person in the space. And then at the same time, I like he is someone who has peddled the current state of America where it's at now. But at the same time, like he was exercising his right to free speech. That's the American Constitution. They have the right to free speech. The system allowed him to speak these views and to the knock-on effects because of that towards the trans community, for example, or immigrants and all of towards women even. His own fucking wife, but sorry.
Yeah, all those right-wing
I think we all know
that
Chewie did a great list of all the things that this person has said. But all of those things said, I'm not sad but I'm also not happy. I'm not grieving because I didn't know this person myself. I didn't agree with this person. I'm not grieving, but I'm not happy about this either. And the thing that I'm not happy about is it's violence against political free speech. And in America, you know, they have a lot lenient of a system, which is kind of why they've led the way that they do, because the repercussions and the hate speech laws that they have aren't robust to sort of push back against that. Here in New Zealand, we have hate speech laws, and even so, we struggle to impose them. We're not great at it. You know, we could do better at that, but we have kind of that to combat some of those things that lead to the likes of hate towards these communities. So I think where I kind of stand at the moment is like I'm just annoyed because all this is going to do is push it's just going to push the right further right, and it's just going to crack down more on the left. There is no winners in this, and then the left are just going to be getting pushed smaller and smaller and smaller until the only thing left to do is to push back with the same thing, which we don't want to do. I'm sure the political left in America don't want to do. It kind of goes against their moral compass. They don't want to have to go out there and protest, and then, you know, it turns into violence because that's the only way forward. Like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see a fucking civil war because the other side is bearing arms. It's like, well, what am I going to do? I'm just going to sit here and take it? Like, I also don't want to advocate for that. I'm just saying this is what we could see, because that's, you know, either get trampled on or you fight fire with fire. And I don't want to see that either. I want to see them get back to this more democratic approach, the democratic system they're supposed to have, where it's discussion, it's the courts that decide things, it's having good laws that are robust, it's following the fucking laws and not using your executive powers to overthrow those laws and ignore all the other branches in their democracy. Like, yeah, I am conflicted, but now I am frustrated. And
I can understand that.
I understand why everyone's reactions are different, and I can't say I am angry at anyone for having the reactions that they're having. But the one message I do want to get through is that I do not condone political violence. I personally believe that gun violence as well is not acceptable. I don't think political violence and silencing someone in that regard because of their political views is acceptable, regardless of how much we disagree with them. And if we don't condone it, and if you personally are out there and you're calling this a win or you're celebrating it, then you are also condemning us. Because we are also in the same camp as him. And like, yes, we're on the other side of the world and we're in little New Zealand. But I think you have to remember what we have seen in our government and what we've seen here in New Zealand has mimicked so much of what we've seen in America that we can't ignore that it might not be with guns. Well, gun violence still happens in New Zealand, just saying. We have hunting rifles and God knows what else. People still have access to guns here. It's just not as widespread, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah, we actually
you have to remember that,
controls.
well, I mean, yes, exactly. But there are other ways, right? It's not just one way of enacting it. So just remember, if you're out there and you're celebrating it, I just want you to know that you are adding to condemning us as well. So
Yeah, that's fair. I think obviously my feelings about it are probably very different. I think, so I know here on the show what we do is we hold people to the same standards and to the same things that they hold others to. And I think it's really interesting that he's been quoted to say, I can't stand the word empathy. Actually, I think empathy is made up new age term and it does a lot of damage. So I don't think he wants our empathy based off his own metrics. Again, I'm not celebrating or happy that he's dead, but I can also see the ways that he has directly contributed, unfortunately, to his own death. And it's a little bit of a fuck around and find out, I think. And I do think that, like, I don't know, I feel like everything's being posed as this, oh, well, we shouldn't just because we don't agree with him. I don't really feel like it's just because people don't agree with him. It's because he's actually causing real world harm to people. Like, there are trans people in America who have been dying because of people like him who have been racking up their hordes of especially very young Gen Z men and turning them against women, turning them against trans people. And so I can understand why people are feeling like, what can I do? I feel powerless to make change. And unfortunately, I think, you know, the same way we saw Mangione, he was desperate. He was like, no one's listening. It doesn't matter if I go to the police. It doesn't matter because no one gives a shit about me. And also people like me because we can see all the time these things are happening. And so, yeah, I think for me, it's more of a, yeah, that sucks. And, you know, I do feel bad for his family that they're losing a loved one that is definitely, really sad. But unfortunately, I also think that he really did contribute to so much hateful rhetoric that he is partially, to blame in this. He's been on record saying that, it's casualties are worth the price of the Second Amendment right to have guns. Like, it's also this weird way that they're like, it's almost like they're like, oh, well, God said we have the right to guns. It's like, you know what? I don't think God did. Does not sound like something God or Jesus would say. And yeah, I definitely don't think we should be out here going, woo, yay, let's throw a fucking party. But I do think that there needs to be actually a conversation around, like, how can we criticize, the aspects that are worth and need to be criticized and actually talked about, and also acknowledge, it's not good to kill people. Like, we can do both. So, yeah, that's kind of more where I sit. Like, I don't, kind of just feels like, he's set himself up to be the butt of his own joke almost, which is grim. But
yeah, the irony is
I don't even think it's really irony at that point. At that point, it's just he made his bed and unfortunately he's lying in it. Again, grim, but like he genuinely has said so many horrific things. He very clearly believed a lot of them. He's the kind of person that was all for Roe v. Wade being overturned. He has been, and actually I think I started a comment because they perfectly summarized one of the things I've always thought about him. He's like the educated version of Andrew Tate. So he takes on all the, exactly. And he's always been a right-wing grifter. And I think because of the fact that right-wing grifting does have real-world harm, I do think that these people need to realize that they will have consequences, unfortunately, if they keep pushing people, because everyone's feeling a lot more desperate now. The wealth inequality gaps, they're getting so much bigger. There's also so many, like, I don't know, even then, I'm like, we have stuff going on at home. Like, we definitely keep an eye on this, but there's also other things that we also should talk about. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely sad for his family, but that's really it. Yeah, I just hope that, his family are able to grieve and that people realize that saying horrible things might actually make a person, in turn do horrible things, because we need to be accountable for, like, what we say.
Yeah.
And that's not saying that accountability should be, someone murdering you, because that's insane.
No.
But,
and that's where all the fingers now point. Yeah, that's where all the fingers point to now is like, well, if the system is that broken, that seems to be the only way, like I was saying before, we have hate speech laws here, and if they're good and they're well, which I would like to think that our democracy is good and that we are able to make good policy and good laws to stop these sorts of things, but it gets challenged quite a bit these days. But we have that in order to have a checks and balance to push to stop that, hopefully, from getting out of hand. And I don't think we've got our settings right. I think that whole thing of free speech versus hate speech thing is always going to be weird, especially because people, they'll dog whistle. There's jokes, there's nuance. Is it hate speech if you don't agree with them? Is it hate speech if it's direct vitriol? Like, I'm not an expert there, so I can't say. But for example, someone could point to Chewie's, if there's no choppy choppy, there's no stoppy stoppy.
Yeah.
How do you interpret that? Right? Do you look at all the that's where I'm coming from, is like, I don't know how you have both. You either silence speech entirely, or you find as a society the line of this is causing harm to people. And I think there is a line where there are real world harms. I totally understand that and I totally get that. And like, my position is always going to be that we shouldn't say things that cause real world harms to people, especially big groups of people or individuals. But how do you move forward and able to have discussions where you don't agree with the other side when you're dealing with the extremes? It's yeah.
Well, like, I think there's a huge, to me, it's actually not that complicated. I think that sometimes, actually, even people on the right try to overconflate how complicated, oh, where do we draw the line? But that is, to me, more of a kind of like, oh, well, if we let the gays marry, then they'll let me marry a dog. Like, that kind of thing. It's pretty fucking clear when someone is targeting someone and using, bigoted dog whistles. Like, yeah, sure, there's definitely times where it's a bit more complicated, gray area. A lot of the times it's really fucking obvious. If someone continuously talks down about, minority groups, they're, associating them with negative things to build up this hate against people. Like, we can sit there and go, you know what? Like, yes, you have the freedom of speech, but also you're not free from consequences of your speech. Like, words are not just words. Words can literally cause trauma to millions of people, whether they were children or adults. We like to be like, oh, sticks and stones might break my bones, but words will never hurt me. No, they fucking do. Our words matter. Psychologically, we are very social creatures. And how do we socialize predominantly? Through speech. Obviously, that doesn't go to everyone, but speech is a big part of how we hold ourselves in the world. It's a tool we use for power. Like, think about Adolf Hitler, right? We often think of him as standing in front of thousands of people giving speeches because that's where his power was built up. Take Toi Tuti Tiriti. We think of the Hikoi. We think of, Eru Kapakingi standing up, talking to the masses. We can't undervalue how much violence can be caused through our words. I mean, we've all had passive-aggressive family members who have made us feel like dog shit. It's something that people need to be held accountable for, Same way if you say something that, Taku Teferis, perfect example. He's got the freedom of speech, but that does not mean he's free from consequences. So, there's a lot of different things to add into it. Like, obviously there needs to be a lot more conversations around how to get definitions of hate speech, because obviously that's just a subclass that we're creating in terms of these, how to define them. Like, there needs to be a bit of fluidity and but also some hard lines, because a lot of the time people go, oh, well, you just don't agree with me. Yeah, because I don't agree with you that women, people should be forced to have children if they don't want to. There are certain times where it's not, oh, let's agree to disagree. There are some things that we do need to actually go, no, this is a hard line for me. I value people more than, agreeing with you. There does need to be the space for both of those things to happen. Also, I don't know if you heard, but one of our own politicians may be taking inspiration from America and following Trump.
Yeah, you did inform me.
So, yeah, it looks like, do we want to play it since it's all American based? I've got it up if we want to have a quick listen. I will stop that one.
Before you do that, I'm just gonna I'm seeing your comments, but I think what I'm getting at here is BHN sits within a space of political commentary, and we're like a blip. But depending on the circles that we may enter, we may not be a blip to them. Charlie Kirk was massive in his space. We are nothing like him in terms of our policies our beliefs at all. Like, we're completely opposite in just everything. We've condemned him outright. Yeah. We agree that the things that he said and did They're two awful things. But I think you have to
murder bad 'em, Clay.
But that's exactly it. And that's my point to you, to everyone here, is if you condone what happened, if you say that the political violence against him was okay, you are also condemning the rest of the political commentary space to the same actions. And that is the thing at the end of the day that I am frustrated with, is because it's just continuing the far left versus the far right, the far left, whatever, the fucking right versus left narrative, that the only way forward now is vitriol against the other side, is tit for tat, it's payback, it's the revenge. That pisses me off. And don't get it twisted, that same shit is happening here. And it doesn't matter if it happened to him. Like, we've already seen it with fucking, like, Plunkett, right? Plunkett has already pointed the finger at Te Pāti Māori. Just saying that. You're muted.
There's also the whole bullshit with Destiny Church. You know, he was definitely platforming a lot of the hate that went towards House of Flash. And also, I love that, as we said, that it was like perfect segue back into this country. So, as well.
That's the only reason I'm continuing to talk about this, because it does. If people say don't talk about US politics, have you fucking looked at our political system at the moment? Have you looked at the people? Fucking Shane Jones and Trump bullshit.
Also, Magenta. Atlas Network, guys. We got to remember, Atlas Network. It's like Skynet, but for politics, all right? It's everywhere. It's all connected. Unfortunately, some of the conspiracy theorists were fucking right. And I hate it. But you know what? Here we are. This is just something that got posted into the Discord very last minute before the show. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll just give it a listen. So we'll listen to it for a little bit. But there is a very interesting bit of kōrero here from old Matua Shane. Everyone's favourite.
Matua.
Ugh.
To renationalise the power companies.
The government policy statement agreed to last year is do nothing and the market will deliver the outcomes. And look, admittedly, I'm a bit player, but know this from me. As soon as I understand what our government's doing, and if it's nothing, then the campaign that I will run on behalf of New Zealand First Party will not only be Trumpian, you'll hear about it in Australia.
Mr. Jones attacks Christopher Luxon's, quote, manner.
Which, obviously, when I heard that, I was like, what the? Like, literally, you can see it in the Discord. I just replied all caps. What the fuck? Because that was very... I don't know. Shane's been getting bold recently. From talking about, wanting to bring the debate for nuclear power. And honestly, it's... And I mean, hell, it was just like the beginning of the year when the whole like being racist to the Green Party and stuff was happening. Like, he's doing some shit. But yeah, when I saw that, I was like, well, yeah, there we go. There's the link. It's very obvious that they're copying America, but he's literally said he's going to campaign next year in a Trumpian style. And unfortunately, we can see how that has its nefarious hooks and can actually sway people. So we've got to stay alert and be aware.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we need to start actually like planning and organizing and being aware of how we should maybe start like countering some of these, the rhetoric, like we do, unfortunately, have to listen to interviews with people we don't like because we have to keep a fucking eye on them. We have to know how they're communicating to their people so that we can hopefully try to find ways to communicate back that might break that. Because it can't just be getting more people to vote for our side. It's also getting people to basically be deprogrammed. But yeah, I mean...
And teaching people about dog whistles and that sort of thing too.
Exactly. Like, we don't have to listen to any more of that. It was just that little bit, but I thought that was really interesting and definitely wanted to make sure that we heard that right from the old horse's mouth. I'll pop the link into the chat as well if anyone wants to go and listen to that on RNZ's YouTube.